2 policemen killed, 2 others are in hospital, while a senior officer is in serious condition following an early morning attack by criminals in Spanish Town, St. Catherine today. St. Catherine police report that the key shooter in this morning's deadly attack on a police team was fatally shot by joint military police forces. In a Mello TV news update, the results of DNA testing done on samples taken from bodies found in shallow graves in Danger Island along the sandy gully bank in St. Andrew confirm that 4 missing men from Clarendon were among the victims found. Still tonight, 3 additional persons test positive for COVID-19 in the last 24 hours, taking the total of the country's confirmed cases to 614, while 417 persons have recovered and have been released from isolation. And government reassures cane farmers in St. Thomas that they have no intention of disrupting production.
Good evening. 2 policemen are dead and 2 others are in hospital, while a senior officer is in serious condition following an early morning attack by criminals in Spanish Town, St. Catherine today. More on this story with our reporter, Killeen May.
A police corporal and a constable were shot and killed, while a superintendent of police and another officer shot and injured after they were ambushed by armed men at a section of Spanish Town in St. Catherine this morning. Reports are that the 2 deceased cops, 26-year-old Constable Ricardo Hilton and Corporal Dane Biggs, who were under the command of the injured superintendent at the St. Catherine North Division, went to a section of the area known as Horizon Park in search of wanted men. Upon reaching the location, the police team came under heavy gunfire from men who were armed with high-powered rifles from inside the premises. All 4 officers received multiple gunshot wounds, while the 5th cop managed to call for backup. Upon the arrival of the other officers, the wounded cops were rushed to hospital, where Biggs and Hilton were pronounced dead, and the others, including the superintendent, admitted in critical condition. Our news team visited the scene and spoke with Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson, who said this was an intelligence-driven operation.
It was an intelligence-driven operation that brought us to this scene this morning at about 5 o'clock. We had information that there were a number of some gunmen with weapons, high-powered weapons here at the residence down here. And so the team responded. We did an operation. There was a firefight, and 4 of our members were shot, of which 2 have succumbed to their injuries. And certainly my condolences goes out to the families of those officers. So 1 is in surgery, 1 is being treated. And of course, when these things happen as a force, it just brings us together. We will not step back from this challenge that we're having with criminals, gunmen, and people shooting our citizens and shooting us as well. We're still in pursuit of some people, and we have some leads that we're following.
Major General Anderson said what went wrong in this operation was that the criminals were armed with high-powered weapons.
What went wrong is that we have people with high-powered weapons and rifles, criminals with them in Jamaica, shooting at people. That's what went wrong. Yes, an M16 rifle was recovered. Whenever we go into an operation, we have to take due care of how we approach things. The people we confront have no such restrictions. So even if we get intelligence on something, we have to confirm things. We have to be very careful with how we approach things. There are always the risk of innocent people being harmed in our operations. So we have to approach things in a very sensible way. And that, of course, gives some advantage to the persons who are not so restricted.
Minister of Security Dr. Horace Chang added that all the officers involved in this morning's operation were well-qualified officers. However, the gunmen were heavily armed.
One very serious. I think Superintendent Clooney is still in theatre, and that's several hours now, which in medical terms is not exactly you know, a good signal. But we pray and hope that he'll come out of it successfully and that the doctor's good hands will keep him alive. All the officers involved are some very highly professional, capable individuals, and whoever, man or men, were armed with high-powered weapons. An M16 at that range can tear through pretty much anything that we have in normal circumstances. We'd have had to have the men prepared for high-powered, high-velocity combat situation. And they were in a residential community. They knew they could face problems, but not that level. I want to really extend my deep condolence and sympathy to the families of Corporal Biggs and Constable Hilton, who have lost their lives, and their family who are here today. And, you know, as it reminds us, as every police officer in Jamaica, when they go on duty, can face the situation.
Chairman of the Police Federation, Detective Sergeant Patrick Rowe, said this has not weakened the force, but rather strengthened their fight to continue to find criminals.
2 fine police officers were lost this morning, but it has not weakened us, it has strengthened our resolve as a constabulary and the commitment that we want to give to our colleagues and the Jamaican people is that we will be unrelenting in our pursuit to find those persons who are responsible for the shooting death of our colleagues this morning. Certainly we invite the Jamaican people to come out against the criminals in this country who are putting our colleagues in harm's danger and are making Jamaica an unsafe place for law-abiding citizens. These police officers left their families, left their houses to serve, protect and reassure the people of Jamaica and were killed because of it. And we are hoping that those law-abiding Jamaicans will speak out against this atrocity and stand with us in this very difficult time. One of the things that misses a lot of Jamaican people is that there's a human element to policing, and people sometimes see police officers as numbers on the ground, but we're actually human beings with emotions, with rights and so on, and therefore our officers are deeply hurt this morning. But as I said before, it has not weakened our resolve.
Director of Complaints at the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM, for the Southern Region, Nigel Morgan, said that INDICOM and the JCF are doing a joint investigation into the incident.
So we do not know yet if anyone was shot, but certainly blood suggests persons were injured. And we do know that officers were shot and injured, and at least 2 have died. Most unfortunate. They seem to be cordoned and all exhibits protected. Witnesses who may be present may be identified and placed aside and pointed out to INDICOM when we arrive. However, where the nature of an exhibit or set of exhibits are as such, where it is important to preserve it, the police may retrieve it until INDICOM comes. So for instance, a firearm is recovered, the police would need perhaps in the circumstances where, let us say, others may interfere with it or remove it, may take charge of that custody and charge of that firearm until we get there. And that firearm is now processed by the joint INDICOM and the JCF.
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips, in expressing his condolences to Constable Hilton and Corporal Biggs' family, said that both officers gave their lives as supreme sacrifice in a bid to rid this country of criminal elements.
This attack is a clear attack on the country as a whole and demonstrates that violence is rampant, respect for the law is disappearing, and that there is a willingness to kill that has spread in the criminal community and which needs to be contained. We need to go beyond the tactics and the strategies of the moment, which really seem to just focus on the hard policing, state of emergency things. Obviously there has to be a place for those crime fighters and an important place for them. But obviously too, it is a problem of the mind and the consciousness, and that there is a set of people who have taken up arms and feel they are against the state. We can't kill them all off. We have to find a way of intervening in their communities, in their headspace, and to reach out so that we can build a country that is less divided and more harmonious. That's the better Jamaica.
Dr. Phillips also outlined his recommendations that could assist the government in ridding the country of crime and violence.
Need to contain the flow of weaponry into dangerous hands. I think that's going to involve a lot of intelligence gathering. It's not hundreds of thousands of people importing weapons, it's a handful. And that means that good intelligence, we have always said it. I have said time and time again to the government, to the others, we need to review the legislation that protects and enhances the intelligence services, that we need to execute intelligence gathering programs that identify the sources of importation, etc.
Reporting for Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
Thank you, Colleen. And in news coming into our newsroom tonight, Superintendent Leon Clunes and his colleague, who were both shot in this morning's attack in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, are now in hospital in stable condition. And as information continues coming into our newsroom, the St. Catherine police are reporting that the key shooter in the deadly early morning attack that led to 2 police officers being killed and 2 others being shot and injured was fatally shot by joint military police forces during an operation carried out at Corville Gardens in St. Andrew this afternoon. The deceased has been identified as 39-year-old Damian Hamilton, a deportee also of a St. Catherine address and a Knockpatrick address in Mandeville, Manchester. Reports coming into Mello TV News are that 2 police officers were also shot and injured during the confrontation with Hamilton. A gun was also recovered from him. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, during a live digital press briefing moments ago, says the government will provide every support to the officers' families and emphasized that the killing of law enforcement officers is an attack on the country's security.
Though we are grappling with the health and economic effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the criminal threat continues. This morning, we all awoke to devastating news that 2 members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, were shot and killed, and 2 other members seriously wounded in the line of duty. My heart goes out to their families, and my thoughts and prayers are with them. The entire Jamaica grieves with you. We will ensure that they get full support. The killing of a law enforcement officer, while in the lawful conduct of his duty, must be considered an attack on the state, an attack on our security and our sensibilities. It must not go unanswered. Otherwise, it will embolden those who are bent on spreading fear and promoting lawlessness.
Still making news tonight, following this morning's violent attack on a police team in St. Catherine, the police are urging persons to donate blood to support the treatment of their injured colleagues. Donations can be made at any of the blood collection centers operated by the National Blood Transfusion Service in the corporate area. These are 1. The blood bank located at 21 Slipe Road in Kingston, and 2 at the National Chest Hospital located at 36 Barbican Road in Kingston 6. Donations can also be made at public hospitals island-wide. Still making news tonight, the private sector organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, has condemned the brazen attack and brutal killing of 2 members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, this morning. PSOJ's president, Keith Duncan, expressed dismay at the incident, saying, and I quote, "All well-thinking Jamaicans must see this tragic incident not just as an attack on the members of the JCF, but as an attack on general law and order and ultimately on the people of Jamaica, end quote. In a released statement, the PSOJ further says that this pervasive and wanton lawlessness cannot and should not be allowed to continue. They say this attack is the latest flare-up of symptoms of a disease that needs every single Jamaican to come together to heal, as the time is now for the people of Jamaica to take a stand once and for all against crime and violence. And in a Mello TV news update, the results of DNA testing done on samples taken from bodies found in shallow graves in an area known as Danger Island along the Sandy Gully Bank in St. Andrew have confirmed that 4 missing men from Clarendon were among the bodies found. Investigators have taken 3 persons into custody. The identities of the deceased are Roy Hamilton, 42 years old, of Longwood, Clarendon, 40-year-old Kavon Graham of Rocky Point in Clarendon, 33-year-old Ricardo Mathra of Longwood, Clarendon, and 30-year-old Omar Bennett of Rocky Point in Clarendon. The men were reported missing on April 7. They were last seen in the Kingston 11 area after leaving home in Clarendon to do business. On May 11, the bodies were discovered in an advanced state of decomposition by members of the JCS Major Investigation Division, the K9 Division, and the Scene of Crime Unit. 2 men and a woman were taken into custody following the discovery of the bodies. Lawmen are working to ascertain the identity of the 5th body that was found as investigations intensify. We will bring you more on this story in subsequent newscasts. Still making news tonight, Jamaica has recorded 3 additional positive COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours, taking the total of the country's confirmed cases to 614, while 417 persons have recovered and have been released from isolation to date. Now, this announcement was made a short while ago by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Meanwhile, Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton has announced that all persons, including tourists, entering the country as of June 15 are to be tested for COVID-19. In addressing a COVID-19 press briefing yesterday, Dr. Tufton said the testing of visitors is to be done to understand and manage the risk profile of that group of persons. The policy decision is a reversal of the earlier position of the government, which had previously stated that tourists would be tested on a voluntary basis. The Health and Wellness Ministry announced that all non-nationals who arrive on the island after June 15 will be screened, and those whose screening attracts a red flag will be tested for the coronavirus COVID-19. The reversal also comes after both the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, JMDA, and the Nurses Association of Jamaica, NAJ, expressed concerns that not testing visitors from COVID-19 could lead to a spike in cases on the island while putting Jamaicans, including healthcare and tourism workers, at risk. In news from the capital, members from the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, and political representatives toured the Pepin Market in St. Andrew following the completion of repairs to the space. Mayor of the KSAMC, His Worship Delroy Williams, in speaking with our news team, outlined that the roofing of the market is at 95 to 96% completion.
So we are looking at the progress of the work here at the Pepin Market. I'm here with Councillor Venetia Phillips, and we are committed to completing the works here at the Pepin Market. As a matter of fact, our instructions are very clear that the works here must be completed in short order. We are probably about 95, 96% in terms of completion with the roofing here. And the only part of the work remaining is the gable ends of the roof, and that is supposed to be done in short order with fixed louvers to allow for airflow. I don't believe that we should be here beyond 3 weeks, and so I believe that the contractors have been instructed to to complete it. As I've said again, I would say it's 98% complete in terms of the roofing, and only the gable ends of the roof, only that section is to be completed now, and the contractors will begin work on this pretty soon, in a matter of days. Well, we will be remarking the market in terms of the stall areas, and the vendors will be asked to return to the areas that they once occupied. And also we are looking at repainting of the market space here, and we'll be commencing work on the garbage bay.
Now, the councillor for the Pepin Division, Venetia Phillips, also addressed the issue of safety as vendors operating on the outskirts of the Pepin market have been instructed by the police to move into the market space.
The concern has been that for both the police and members of the public, that the vendors who occupy the streets, that they be quickly relocated to the market in the interest of safety, as we have had real safety concerns around the market area. But I am happy that the market is nearly complete. As the mayor said, the roof is almost done. It is just the pivots on both ends, the gable ends as they call them. And that is something that we were very deliberate about, as you heard Mayor say, because we wanted the best option for airflow and to make sure that we, in terms of handing over the market to the vendors again, that at least we indicated to them the standard that the KCAC intend to see the markets in and kept in. So I'm satisfied with the work. I know it has taken us a little while, but it was important for us to get it right.
Now, in speaking with some members in the market, they had this to say.
Well, I'm glad things are looking up and coming on. You're looking up, yes, because you do a little work and you come back now to do another little work. So you take time looking up. Well, it was down, you know, and the board black around right there, so it kind of look black out, but you know, we are here, and if you have your customers and real customers, they still pull through and come and see you. Well, the sale, Papa, is not fast, but you know, and here is not really a busy market. Here is a customer's market. So customers come and you have people pass by, so every day then you make a new customer. So.
Leader of the opposition and Member of Parliament for East Central St. Andrew, Dr. Peter Phillips, also toured the Pepin market earlier today to inspect the progress of work being done to improve the market space. In other news tonight, one of the PNP councillors who was expelled from the St. James Municipal Corporation on Thursday says he is seeking legal representation to have the decision overturned immediately. Sylvan Reid, who represents the Salt Spring Division, and Gladstone Bent, who represents the Catadupa Division, were both given marching orders by the Mayor, Homer Davis, after it was made public by Councillor Charles Sinclair of the Flanker Division that both men allegedly missed 3 consecutive meetings, resulting in them being expelled. Still making news tonight, an operations manager from a prominent local financial institution was charged after allegedly stealing millions of dollars from the institution over a 3-year period. 52-year-old Andrea Gordon of a Kingston address was charged yesterday with larceny as a servant following a series of incidents stemming from 2017. It is reported that between January 2017 and May 2020, Gordon transferred over 35 million Jamaican dollars from the bank to her personal accounts. An investigation was launched by members of the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC, which led to Gordon's arrest. More information will be provided following the conclusion of the audit. Gordon is scheduled to appear before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Thursday, July 23. And those were some of the stories making news. I'll return with other updates as the government seeks to reassure cane farmers in St. Thomas that they have no intention of disrupting production. We'll now take a break and then join Christopher Scott with sports.
Jamaica Weekly, the voice of Jamaica, is Jamaica's newest and most exciting full-color tabloid newspaper, packed with news, sports, entertainment, and a whole lot more. Jamaica Weekly is free and is distributed every Thursday to businesses and consumers island-wide. Pick up your free copy of Jamaica Weekly today at major retail outlets near you, supermarkets, pharmacies, and service stations. For more information, call 876-616-3031. Jamaica Weekly. Pick up your free copy.